I'd like to welcome everyone to the Hardcore Show. This is just a test. Maybe you can hear the slight sounds of fireworks on this eve of 4th of July, where July 4th, 1776, 13 colonies claimed their independence, and we are doing this ever since. So I want to talk about a few things today. This is just a test. Give you my view, and only my view. If those of you that don't like this view, you know how to turn it off. No regrets and no apologies to no one. Well, hello, good evening. It is 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It is a Friday. You can maybe hear in the distance, people are celebrating the Independence Day, July 4th, 1776. 13 colonies claimed their independence, and we celebrate that still today. I've created this. I've been waiting to do this for a long time, but I created this hardcore show. I've had it on my Facebook for a long time, and I've put anything on it. And I've been streaming lately on Twitch and Facebook, playing some video games. But this little thing is going to be about what's happening, what's going on, what I consider to be terrible, what I consider to be funny or ironic, and what is strange. So like if you see right here, we talk about this first. This is this little creature right here, and that creature in that bag right there, both the same. These are the little, well, they're the plush toys for the Baby Yoda. We bought them, my wife bought them over a year ago. They finally came in like a couple weeks ago, and we unveiled them to the kids. I don't know if they're scared of them. They could be, but they really had no desire. They might have chewed on the ears for a little bit with that. The dogs are more interested in them. They wanted to tear them up, just like any chew toy. So if you're going to be getting something like this one right here, or that one, I'm doing it wrong right there. They're great toys. I mean, I'm going to bring it forward to you. I mean, if you look at it, it's about as real as you can get. I mean, it doesn't talk or nothing, and it's cushy on the inside, but it sits up by itself, and it's a cute little toy. But I think it's more for collectors. Maybe not for babies. I'll set him back there. He can watch the show. So, like I said, I just started streaming. I'm trying to create some gameplay. I'm not very good at it, but then I started to want to do this. Hopefully, I'm not just talking to talk. I've checked with some of the YouTubers that I know and made sure they say that it's perfectly fine for me to go on YouTube, as long as I'm not playing music or anything, and play clips and then talk about them. So one of the first things I want to do is I want to talk about, we all know Jeffrey Epstein. We know that there's some shady stuff going on there. And mysteriously, he was captured by the FBI, put in a secure prison where they kept Chapo and everybody else, and mysteriously he hangs himself. The cameras don't work, and the guards are sleeping. And the person who checked him after the family wanted him to be rechecked because they said he hung himself. He says, no, this person was strangled. People claimed that they had heard him screaming in his jail cell. So I just wanted to go through this, so bear with me. I'm going to try to get this to work. You can see it up here in the corner. And I just want to kind of go through this. This is Tucker Carlson. He's going to talk about the lady and how that she was arrested like yesterday, and what she can bring to the party about the truth about Epstein. And she was the person grooming all these ladies. So.
Former Jeffrey Epstein confidant Ghislaine Maxwell once said that above all, she had one great passion: saving the oceans.
At 1,500 feet, I switched on the lights, hoping to see a new mythical sea creature, but in fact what I saw was a plastic hanger. I was so absolutely devastated, but it was at that moment that I realized that I was really going to dedicate the rest of my life to taking an involvement with and bringing an education around the ocean.
Nice sentiment. Didn't turn out that way. Instead, Maxwell dedicated much of her life to something else: helping abuse young girls. Today, federal officials announced criminal charges against her for the years that she spent working for Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, so she was arrested, and they say one of the reasons why she was able to get high-end people is you can tell that she's British of some type, and that her family and the way that she lived, she had ways to get a hold of one of the Queen's sons or nephews or whatever, and have all this stuff done. So my question to everyone is how long before in her quote-unquote natural security safe place will we find her dead in her cell, hung, with the cameras not working, and the guards asleep again? Because this can't happen. We need to know who's in there, and you're going to find out in some of this stuff that she was with every major player. Play a little bit more.
Today we announced charges against Ghislaine Maxwell for helping Jeffrey Epstein sexually exploit and abuse multiple minor girls from the period of 1994 through 1997. In some cases, Maxwell participated in the abuse herself. Maxwell enticed minor girls, got them to trust her, then delivered them into the trap that she and Epstein had set.
Okay, so not only that she groomed these girls and brought them in, then they were turned out to work across different states and different countries, that she was also involved. So obviously, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did Epstein meet her and turn her out, and then she decided to do this to everyone else? Or was she already that way? I mean, these are all things I want to ask about. Let me see if I got my things going here. Sorry, I just started this. By the way, it is, like I said, it's 10:07 now p.m. Eastern Time. It is 7/3/2020. I just want to make sure that I've got anybody. Okay, I just want to type this in. All right. Okay. All right, so getting back to this. So I want to do this a little bit more, and I'm going to go to a couple other sections, and hopefully people can understand what I'm talking about. But I'm really concerned that we're going to get the same thing we got with the shooter in Vegas. One man, 65 years old, running around between each window within 3 seconds, firing multiple guns. Just doesn't happen. So let's play a little bit more and see what's happening.
Maxwell has been all over the world recently, according to news reports, but authorities arrested her at an isolated home in central New Hampshire. Why? What was she doing there? What we know tonight is that Maxwell bought the house and the 156 acres it sits on last December. She bought it anonymously for $1 million in cash. Maybe now that she's under arrest, maybe she's on suicide watch tonight, we'll learn more about what she did for Jeffrey Epstein and what Jeffrey Epstein did. Where did all the money come from? And why were so many famous people always in the room? For example, the founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, was a close friend of Jeffrey Epstein's. Now he's a top donor to Joe Biden. Quite a moralizer, too. How much did Reid Hoffman know about what Jeffrey Epstein was doing? Will the FBI be questioning him? If not, why not? And what about the founder of Microsoft, Bill Gates? Gates made at least 3 visits to Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse. He called Epstein and his life, quote,
he seems to know about the coronavirus in 2015.
On its own. Will we learn more?
What do you think about that?
What about former Harvard president and Obama administration official Larry Summers, former Secretary of the Treasury under Bill Clinton? Summers flew on Epstein's plane and then got him to donate tens of millions of dollars to Harvard University, where Epstein did not go. And needless to say, there is Bill Clinton himself, who often flew on Epstein's plane and then lied about it. We deserve, in fact, we have a right to know what all of these people really knew about Jeffrey Epstein. Many mysteries.
Now, if you see, this is Clinton. This is supposedly a hand-painted picture that was in Epstein's island at one of his, I guess in the main living room or whatever. This was found. You can just have your own opinion on that. Obviously, he had them. Also, if you guys didn't know, that the reports are that this particular island and in the place that all the other places he had, like in New York and even in England, they had cameras through everything, videotaping everything. Looks like distortion to me, but we'll continue on.
Yet to solve. Lana Goodman has come closer than most to getting to the core of it. She's co-author of the book A Convenient Death, The Mysterious Demise of Jeffrey Epstein, and she joins us.
There we go.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Convenient death.
First things first, why do you think Maxwell was in New Hampshire this morning?
Well, I just want to say, Tucker, I think that prison is going to be a pretty big adjustment for Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine was born into French high society. She was the daughter of a billionaire. She's lived this just very extravagant lifestyle throughout her life. And as you mentioned, I mean, even when she was in hiding at this hideout, she's living in a $1 million custom Tudor mansion estate on 150 acres in New Hampshire. So, you know, not a bad way to be hiding out, I guess, or to be social distancing right now. So I think that this is going to be a pretty big adjustment when she
But it's pretty weird, though.
Well, let me stop this. Think about the arrogance. Jeffrey Epstein gets caught. She's the main other player. Does she go and hide? No, she changes a few things around, probably with her influence and capabilities, and she uses a false name and buys like 180,000 square foot branch type style house in the Hamptons or wherever this is, and it's crazy. And they said, I guess the FBI knows 6 months ago where she was. I mean, I guess they wanted to see if they wanted to catch more people or whatever. But like I said, when the other shoe drops, are we going to hear the truth? Or is she going to mysteriously disappear? You know, like Epstein, or like that plane way back when that disappeared off a radar. Not even one floating peanut. I've been on many planes. Everything floats, okay? The seats, everything. Nothing floated. That plane was gone. It's going to come back to us someday. Not be conspiracy, but it'll come back to us someday. Somebody stole that plane, and it never crashed. Okay, so let's go a little bit further. And I want to go to
so
a
the
different
Daily Mail
video.
just had her in Israel not that long ago. We know that I think she has a French passport. She certainly spent a lot of time in the UK. Her father was English, Robert Maxwell. She had to have known that American authorities were after her. Do you have any sense of why she would be in this country right now?
It's very bizarre. I mean, people were shocked to hear that. There were rumors of all different places that she was supposedly at. I mean, some people with claims maybe Paris. I mean, people had spotted her in Paris. Right. There were claims about London. There were claims even about like the Israeli embassy and things like that. So yeah, there's been some pretty wild speculation.
So if you don't know, the Israelis and a lot of the Middle Eastern, one of the things they like to do is they like to enslave people, and they like sex slaves, and they pay big money to get people from other countries, especially America. They have a fetish, and lo and behold, she's got all these contacts there. Some of these women that went forward that said that she went ahead and groomed them and then brought them over to different countries to be with people. Like his name Prince Albert or whatever, and all these other people. I mean, these two people in this photo right here are pure evil. Epstein and this Maxwell. Continue.
But I think generally the idea was people assumed she was out of the country. I mean, right. She was born in France, so she was able to, you know, France would not have necessarily extradited her.
Wait a minute. She came from France, where they're basically a neutral country. They let Germany come in, and they said, oh, come on in. And then when we kicked them out, they said, oh, come on back in. And now they treat us like crap. So I don't have a great, warm, fuzzy feeling about the French.
She would not have been able to be extradited necessarily from France. So it was very surprising that she is hiding out really under everyone's noses in the United States, within driving distance of the U.S. Attorney's Office that is prosecuting her right now. It definitely came as a shock.
Have the FBI spoken, do you know, to Reid Hoffman, who was one of the people who apparently helped get Jeffrey Epstein off the charges the first time he was charged? He might have interesting information. Have the feds talked to him?
Well, I don't know about Reid Hoffman in particular. I think that a lot of the friends of Jeffrey Epstein who were...
How much you want to bet if they get her to talk that a lot of these people that run these LinkedIn, Twitter, and all these places are nothing but scumbags?
We're very relieved after he died, are probably pretty terrified right now at this moment, because I think that Ghislaine Maxwell has every incentive to talk in this situation. I mean, Epstein is dead, so she doesn't really have to worry about protecting him or anything else at this point.
That's right.
And I think that DOJ also has more leeway to potentially cut a deal with her than it did with Epstein, because he was accused of being the kingpin in this situation. I think that they would, because she was assisting him with this, and she was not necessarily the kingpin, I think that they might have more room to try to come to a deal.
I don't agree with her saying that she wasn't the kingpin. I believe that she was just as involved and basically ran the whole situation. I think Epstein was benefiting by the girls and his crazy ass freak desires, plus being able to get with people. So I really think that that she was more than this lady is saying. Sorry.
Deal with her.
So in 10 seconds, tell me, just from all the research you've done on Maxwell, does she seem like the kind of person who might take her own life in custody? I just want to get this out here early.
Absolutely not. But again, this is a lifestyle that she is not used to. I think that we need to hear directly from DOJ about how they're going to fix the problems and make sure that this doesn't happen again in this situation, and that these victims are able to find justice.
Yeah, amen. Thanks so much.
All right, I just wanted to go over that little bit. I'm going to close that out right now. And so don't know if any of you have been back to work. If you have, good luck. Our company is only letting us drive everywhere, but a lot of these masks that they make people wear, the medical ones that cover your face and they taste like you're eating Scotch-Brite or tasting Scotch-Brite. I'm just saying, I ended up getting some of these polo fully things here, and they're really good. You just throw them over your head, and they look like this when they're on. And they're so thin that you can actually breathe through them. I've been to a couple plants. I work 8-10 hours a day, no problem. And nothing to throw a mask on if you got to go to the store or something. No sense of fighting. This is the way they want it, and this is the way it's going to be. Meanwhile, I was going to try to go back to this other thing I had saved here on my history. Let's see, dirty secrets. Just please bear with me. I'm not really skilled at this yet. Let's see, dirty secrets. Okay, what is this one? Okay, I got another one called up here, so I'm gonna put another one on and see about this. It's a little different.
Pre-Epstein's apparent suicide 10 months ago, so many questions remained unanswered. Not least, would anyone ever pay for his crimes? One name keeps coming up: Epstein's long-term friend and associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. She had the contacts to introduce him to powerful men like Prince Andrew, and the willingness, according to today's charges, to find and groom a procession of young victims.
Ghislaine Maxwell finally stands charged for her role in these crimes.
In New York this afternoon, federal prosecutors outlined the charges against Maxwell, who was arrested earlier today by the FBI at a property in New Hampshire.
Maxwell played a critical role in helping Epstein to identify, befriend, and groom minor victims for abuse. In some cases, Maxwell participated in the abuse herself.
The indictment from the United States District Court in the Southern District of New York contains 6 charges against Maxwell. 2 are to do with enticing minors to travel to engage in illegal sex acts. Another 2 are concerned with transporting minors with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity. And there are 2 charges to do with perjury.
Typically, they would befriend these young girls by asking them questions about their lives, pretending to be taking an interest in them. They would take them to the movies and treat them to shopping trips. Maxwell would
Remember, this is typical grooming. It's what somebody that is a pedophile does. This is what somebody is going to use their power to do. This is textbook shit.
encourage these young girls to accept offers from Epstein to pay for their travel and their education, making these young victims feel indebted to Jeffrey Epstein. After developing a rapport with the victims, Maxwell then tried to normalize sexual abuse with a minor victim through a process known as grooming.
This will add to the pressure on Prince Andrew to explain fully his involvement with Epstein. Maxwell was the link, the one who brought the two men together. She can be seen in the background of this now famous photograph of Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre, who alleges that Maxwell pressured her to have sex with Prince Andrew in London in 2001 when she was 17. Prince Andrew denied this allegation and any wrongdoing when he was interviewed by Newsnight.
Okay, Prince Andrew denied this, but if you've seen him, he was sweating perversely during this interview. And one of the things she says is that he was so gross that when they were involved in this, they were dancing before and he was sweating so bad. And even when they did what they did, he was sweating severely. And he claims that he has a quote unquote, I have a disease that makes me not be able to sweat. So this, and then, you know, the royal family knows he's in shit, so he no longer has any duties. He's kind of like been defaced from the Queen and the kingdom.
Last year.
Would you be willing to testify or give a statement under oath if you were asked?
Well, I'm like everybody else, and I would have to take all the legal advice that there was before I was to do that sort of thing. But if push came to shove, and the legal advice.
When somebody talks about legal and he'd have to take something, and then his throat doesn't work, guilty as goddamn sin.
Was to do so, then I would be duty-bound to do so.
Prosecutors in New York investigating Epstein and his associates have long sought a meeting with Prince Andrew. They say the prince has completely shut the door on helping them and has offered zero cooperation. The prince's lawyers dispute this and say he has offered to help the US Department of Justice 3 times this year. However, today, the US authorities reiterated their request for help.
I'm not going to comment on anyone's status in this investigation, but I will say that we would welcome Prince Andrew coming in to talk with us. We would.
Never happening. He'll end up like Jeffrey Epstein, and someone will take him out. If he was able to do this and say anything and talk about anyone, I mean, there it is. It's never going to happen.
I'd like to have the benefit of his statement.
It seems now that Jeffrey Epstein's crimes will come to court, with the case of someone who stands accused of helping him abuse so many vulnerable women and girls. Ghislaine Maxwell will be the first to stand trial in this affair. She may not be the last.
David Gross.
All right, I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to switch out of this. Like I said, this is not my greatest time, so when I'm doing this, I'm not trying to make it, but yeah. I know there's certain ways you can get this to work better. I'm going to go back here. So this was just a test to see if it worked. I don't have a script, I don't have anything, but just wanted to say happy 4th of July. In a couple hours it will be 4th of July, but in the background you can hear a bunch of people, firecrackers going off and big explosions. It's been going on for a week here. I live in the general area of Michigan. That's why I'm going to tell you I live. We celebrate and salute the flag. Well, some don't, but I don't care. You know, as long as they ain't burning them, I don't give a shit. Let me see what else. It says that Trump is at Mount Rushmore right now, and they had to be flown in, I guess. So let me see. Yeah. He's not on stage yet, so okay. I don't see anybody online. I'm just wanted to do this to see if it actually worked, and I'll send it out there. But hope everybody has a great little weekend. Celebrate our independence, July 4th, 1776. Remember it. And peace out.